Hello and welcome to this Lenormand mini course. My name is Emily Rose and I am the founder of Emily Rose Divination. I am so excited that you have decided to join me here to talk about my absolute favorite subject, Lenormand. Now, if you're here, it means that you have been bitten by the Lenormand bug. What do I mean by that? Well, as Ollivander says in Harry Potter, the wand chooses the wizard, and if you're here, then that means Lenormand has chosen you. I find that Lenormand has a way of almost selecting people to work with it, and it just kind of naturally comes into your life in some way. So for me, Lenormand came into my life by total accident, and what I hear from my students is that they will find Lenormand in the most peculiar places, and they will keep continuing to experience synchronicities with Lenormand. So if you're here, welcome to the Lenormand Club. Now, what are the goals of this mini course? Why are we here? Our concrete goal that we have here is to establish a very quick way to build your Lenormand confidence in just 5 to 10 minutes per day. That's the main reason for this course, is I want you to begin to feel confident in your readings. Now, our other goal we have here is to get you reading your cards. We're not just going to study the cards. We're not just going to talk about reading the cards. We are going to read cards together here. So we're going to get our hands a little dirty. It's a pretty hands-on course, especially our second lesson. So I'm excited to get started and dig into that. Now, to help us on our Lenormand journey, there is a workbook that is going to be in your inbox. It's on its way now. You want to be on the lookout for that, because there is a cheat sheet and some journal pages that are going to help keep you on track through this mini course. So you may be wondering, who are you and why are you telling me about Lenormand? Well, my name is Emily Rose and I am a professional tarot and Lenormand reader. I've been reading Lenormand for a very long time, since I was about 12 years old. And I stumbled across Lenormand by accident. I thought I was getting a tarot deck, came home and saw that it was not a tarot deck. And my mother, who's a tarot reader and teacher who planned to teach me tarot, said, well, if you want to learn these cards, you're on your own. So what I did was I took the cards, which I now know are Lenormand, but did not know that at the time, since they were just called fortune cards. And all I had were essentially key words and a little story about each card from the bare bones book that it came with. What I did was I would ask the cards a question, pull some cards, and write down my best interpretation, then see how the situation actually played out. And I would do this for myself and my friends. And over time, I could see how accurate the cards were in describing situations. And I was able to apply modern meanings to these traditional cards. For example, I found that the stars represented the internet and things like that. It was really amazing to see how these cards played out in my life. And it also kind of gave me a heads up to situations I would encounter and allowed me to decide how I wanted to act in those moments, and almost empowering me to give me those options ahead of time. That is something that I just found so valuable, and why I became a Lenormand teacher, because I want everyone to live their most aligned life. And I think Lenormand is one of the ways to empower others to do that. So now that you know who I am, we know what our goals are, what can we actually do with Lenormand? Now, you know you want to become a confident reader perhaps, but why do we want to become confident readers? What can we actually do with this medium? One of my favorite reasons why is because with Lenormand, you just get these simple, very practical answers. So whether you have small scale questions or large scale questions, you can ask Lenormand to get this very simple, straightforward answer. For example, the other day, I couldn't find my keys, and I decided to pull out my cards because I was running late needed to know where they were. Now, I know that can seem a little frivolous to pull your cards out for that, but Lenormand can actually help you with a lot of practical day-to-day things. So I went ahead and pulled them out, asked the question, where are my keys? And the card said, they are in an old sneaky pocket. Pretty specific, right? Now, you can also ask Lenormand questions that have a little bit more significance to them. For example, you can ask questions like, what may I experience in my relationship over the next year? Or what changes can I expect at work over the next 6 months, right? You can ask these bigger questions that have bigger impacts as well. But either way, you're going to get a simple and practical answer. And that is something that is so valuable when reading for yourself or others. Because you're getting these simple answers, you're also getting this kind of sassy, to the point perspective. With Lenormand, you combine the cards to create meaning, and it's almost like reading a sentence in a book. And when you're reading the cards in that way, you're getting this kind of straight up answer. So it almost feels like you're consulting a sassy best friend or an older sister who's going to give you that real talk advice. Now, that advice is usually the most helpful to us, but we're not always ready to hear it. And so if you're wanting to consult Lenormand to get that kind of yes answer you're looking for, it's not the right medium for that. Lenormand is here to give you that straight up to the point kind of perspective. So if you are a fan of that, Lenormand is going to be your friend. And finally, Lenormand can assist you in tapping into your intuitive and psychic abilities through learning a symbol system. What do I mean by that? One of my mentors, James Wanless, taught me this quote: "The soul doesn't think without a picture." And Lenormand is a symbol system. So what you're doing when you're learning the cards is you're, over time, teaching your soul, your intuition, to speak using the cards. So you're able to get different answers than you would normally get through a different medium aside from cards. What this does over time is you're able to awaken and tap into your intuition or psychic abilities, whatever you believe there. It can have some effects of awakening you to what your inner self truly wants and bring you to even greater happiness. So that's kind of the side effect of learning cards, but it is such a beautiful side effect to have. So you may be thinking, hey, that sounds pretty good. I would love to have this sassy to the point friend helping me with my life and giving me simple answers to questions that I would love to know. But I know a lot of you have dabbled in Lenormand and have not felt confident about your readings before, or you may feel trepidatious about interpreting and thinking, am I doing this right? How do I know I'm doing this right? So this is exactly why I created this course. And I want to let you know that reading Lenormand with confidence is not that far away. It is something you can do. And I want to give you some practices here to help you to read Lenormand with confidence. So that kind of begs the question, how do we do that? What is the key to reading Lenormand? How do we unlock that? And as a Lenormand reader, I have a very simple and direct answer for you. Actually reading the cards, actually doing it. Now, I know that that can seem overly simplistic, but it is really true. What I see a lot of new Lenormand readers doing is picking up every Lenormand book they can find and studying every meaning possible, learning every possible layout for the cards. And although those books can be helpful references, that's not how we're going to learn to read Lenormand confidently. The way that we learn to read Lenormand with clarity and confidence is through playing with our cards, through picking them up, asking questions, and laying cards down and seeing how they manifest in our life. But there is a caveat to that. We need to do it consistently. Now, I know anytime we're developing a habit, this is the eye roll part where we know we have to do things consistently, and it can feel like this big commitment. But I want to let you know that consistency doesn't have to mean a lot of time every single day. We can learn to read Lenormand confidently with just a simple 5 to 10 minute practice per day. This little practice is the exact practice that I do that is really helpful when it comes to building your confidence, because what you're doing is you're making this routine date with your cards and you're learning how the cards are going to speak to you and how the cards apply to your life. And what I have found is that the thing that separates good readers from phenomenal readers is consistency. So I have a question for you. Are you ready to be a phenomenal Lenormand reader? If you are, then I have some simple steps that you can follow to get started. So step one, this may seem a little trivial, but you want to find your cards and put them in a place you will see. My cards are pretty much always within reach. They're usually right there. So you can put them in a place that you can actually see them. Now, I know a lot of you have, kids or roommates, so it may not be possible to keep them on your dining room table or somewhere like that, but perhaps you can put them on your nightstand or somewhere that you can easily access them. The most important thing is that you're going to be able to see them and that they can kind of call to you when you're ready to do your practice, which we're going to go over the next lesson. That's step one. And then step two is to check your email. There will be a workbook in there that I have emailed to you. Now, you want to make sure that you got that email as soon as this video is over. If you don't see it in your inbox, check your junk, promotions, or spam folder. It could be hiding in there, and you can also run a search in your email for Emily Rose. Then what you want to do is move that message to your inbox to make sure that you get even more Lenormand goodness and receive the rest of your lessons. Now, if you don't see an email, go ahead and email me at info@emilyrosedivination.com. Either myself or my team will get back in touch with you and we will get you that workbook. And step three is to print your workbook. Now, I am someone who is allergic to the printer. I absolutely do not like to print things, but the workbook is something that I highly recommend printing because we're going to be writing in it, we're going to be making notes in it, and there's also a cheat sheet that you're going to need for our next lesson. So make sure to print that workbook, but if it is going to be a roadblock to you finishing this course, then make sure you just get like a notebook, just like a line notebook or something like that, and make sure that you somehow get that cheat sheet. So you can either jot down all the meanings really quickly or something like that, because you're going to need to reference it for the next video. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me for this first lesson. And then in lesson 2, that is where we're going to go over that 5 to 10 minute practice. And we are also going to pull cards together. And you can find your second lesson tomorrow in your inbox. Thanks for joining me.